And when I say it was wham, it was wham. Excuse my chair while it crunches underneath my weight. I can't see you, you're very blurred at the moment, but I'm hoping my eyes are massive. Hi and welcome back to The Plot. My name is Nats. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, TikTok as Nats_knits_UK. I am here on this little part of the internet talking about my knitting, my crochet, any kind of crafty bits and bobs that I'm getting on with, really. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested, please feel free to like, subscribe, follow along, come back whenever you fancy. I'm easy either which way, to be honest with you. It is currently about 1 o'clock on Sunday the 22nd of June. It's the day after what was the hottest day of the year here in the UK. And when I say it was wham, it was wham. Do you know what I mean? We have quite a humid heat here, so there's not been many clothes involved over the last couple of days, I won't lie to you. I've been struggling somewhat. And it's still quite warm today. It's more overcast today, but definitely still quite warm. So I've got myself a frozen smoothie that I made. It's a mixture of mango, pineapple, banana, and strawberries, and it's very yummy, so that's helping to keep me cool. And I've got quite a bit to go through today. I've got what have I got? I've got one knitted finished object, one crochet finished object. I've got a cross stitch finished object. I've also got some works in progress to update you all on. I'm surrounded by stuff, so I'll just make a start and we'll crack on from there. So first things first then, finished objects. I have been quite productive actually. I'll start off with my first finished objects, which are these socks. Now in my last podcast episode I did say that I'd got this yarn left over from a colourwork project, and it is West Yorkshire Spinner Signature 4-ply, my go-to sock yarn, and it's called Summer Sunset. And I asked you all for your ideas on a nice self-striping yarn pattern. Now, you came back with some great ideas, so thank you so much for those of you that commented. The two sort of suggestions were the fairground socks, which I think was a Kay Jones pattern, and also, rather than a pattern as such, just slipping every third stitch so that it blurred sort of the self-striping yarn. And I was really keen to do that, but then when I actually started knitting this up, you'll see the yarn itself, they've already made it so it kind of blurs already. So you haven't got like, sort of, I don't know, 5 rows worth of one colour before it goes into the next. You get these kind of blends. So as I was doing that with the slip stitches, it didn't quite have the effect that it should have had if it was like a proper self-striping yarn where it was really kind of uniformed where the stripes changed. So I ended up doing vanilla socks, as you can see, and it's really pretty. It's worked up really nicely. I did these on 2.5mm Chow circulars. Magic loop, there we go. That's my usual, is magic loop, to be honest with you, unless I'm doing colour work, in which case I'll use 9-inch circulars, just so that I don't have to try and carry floats across the needles, sort of, because when I've tried it before on magic loop, at the point at which you go onto the next needle, you get like the yarn cutting across, and then that creates almost like webbing that would make it very difficult to get your feet into socks. So it's just a plain vanilla sock, but it comes up lovely in these colours, and they are really pretty, like almost like a tequila sunrise kind of colour work. So kept them as vanilla socks. I've got other patterns in mind for the future, but that used up quite a bit of that yarn, to be honest with you. I think around about 70 grams, and it was 100 grams skein. I'd already used about 20 grams, I think it was. So I've got just a short amount of yarn left that I can probably use in some other colourwork project at another time. But really happy with those. Nothing too interesting, but really happy with them nonetheless. So those were my first finished object. My second finished object is my virus shawl, which I'm so happy with this. So this really was to get me practicing crochet, and I'd got 2 balls of the James C. Brett DK. Okay, that's the name of it, Shush. And it is it's an 80% acrylic, 20% wool yarn. Now I don't tend to go for acrylic for stuff that I'm going to wear because I get really hot in it. More than happy to use it for accessories and stuff like that. But yeah, anything that I'm going to be wearing, I get too hot in it, and I'm at that stage in my life where when I get hot, I get hot. So, but this was just beautiful, and I loved this because, especially to finish it in the month of June when we're celebrating Pride, I just thought this rainbow colourway was amazing, and I absolutely loved making this as well. And it is perfect. Look at this. It's perfect for those, just when the sun goes in at the end of the night and you're still in your shorts and t-shirt, but you know, you just need something on your shoulders just to warm you up a little bit once the sun's gone in. And it was so much fun to make. It was so methodical to make as well. Once I kind of got the pattern repeat, I think it's like a 4-row repeat. Once I'd got that in my head, I could just pick it up. I could work out where I was at any given time. It was so easy to work with, and I've just absolutely loved it. So I've never made a shawl before. Not something that necessarily I thought I would wear would be a shawl, but it's, you know, it will make a fantastic shawl wrapped in a different way for the winter as well, to bring some colour into what will probably be in the UK a very grey and boring sort of winter. So for those winter days, I want to bring a bit of extra colour, but I've absolutely loved making this. And for all of my Teams calls at work, it's been on the back of my chair because we're celebrating Pride at work. So that's been the way I've been showing how I support the movement and the community. So yeah, so that's virus shawl. Other things that I have been working on that are still fibre arts related but not knitting related are cross stitch, and I've shown this before, but I am really pleased to say that I have finally finished, and I hope you're not going to get too much glare because it is now behind like a perspex. I wonder, let me just see if I can change the lighting somewhat, whether that will help. But this is Derek the Disco Chicken, also known as a peacock, and this is a pattern by it's Hannah Dale. Let me fix that lighting situation again. The blind goes back up. It's Hannah Dale, Wrendale Designs, and she's got loads of them that are all put together into kits by Bothy threads. Oh, I just love it. I just love it. Sorry, it's still catching the light, so I'm sorry about that. But I've probably been working on this now for 2 years. So cross stitch isn't something that I do daily, but usually every couple of weekends or something like that, I'll dedicate quite a bit of time to just sitting there and ploughing through it. So I'm really thrilled that this has now been finished, because I'll be honest with you, I just really wanted it on my wall. I think he just looks really cool. Really recommend these cross stitch kits. They are modern, they are interesting to do, they're clear, and they look great once they're all mounted and what have you. I am terrible, and you know, sort of for the die-hard cross stitchers out there, you'll all be shouting at me, but I'm terrible for just leaving my fabric in the hoop. So it did take quite a bit of ironing, and the hoop marks are still kind of there, but but from a distance you can't see it, and it's only me looking at my little disco chicken, so I shan't worry too much about it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to do, and I will be, or I already have started on my next one as well, so I'll talk about that in a little while. But those are my finished objects, so been relatively busy in the last few weeks. I do have, however, a number of works in progress. So the first one I'll show you is a crochet work in progress. I have started crocheting the Yorkshire blanket by Meema Makes, and I decided to do this one because I'd seen Nitty Natty doing it earlier, or maybe it was late last year. And I'll be honest, that seemed quite complex and not something that was within my skill set. But emboldened by my virus shawl, I thought I'd give it a go. I also noticed that her patterns come with video tutorials, stitch guides, and then the full patterns in both UK and US terminology. And I thought, worst case scenario, if I was struggling to read the patterns or understand the stitch guide, so how to do the special stitches, I could watch the tutorials and yeah, I could take it from there. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So I can't remember for the life of me what these different crochet squares are called, but the crochet squares, you'll probably be familiar with them because the pattern's been around for over a year, but they're all based on parts of Yorkshire, and the blanket is made up of different stitch patterns. I think it's 12 different crochet patterns, granny square patterns, and they're all just very, very pretty. So like sort of this one here, you can see you've got like these sort of bobble or puff stitches, I think that maybe is what they're called, and in certain, you know, sort of fabrics it shows more than others, and maybe if I hold it back a little bit you'll be able to see that texture a little bit more. But then other ones you've got, so like this one is, I think this one was called Mill Wheel, and I don't know whether you can see on there that sort of mill wheel pattern. I don't know if that helps at all. Maybe holding it against, no, that makes it worse if I hold it against my white top. But they're absolutely stunning, and they're a lot of fun to do. And what I've been doing is I've been using up scrap yarn that I've got. This one's just a solid one actually, because that was one that I was practicing on for size. But I've been using up hand dyed sock yarns. Well, I was initially using up hand-dyed sock yarns, and then I kind of thought actually the tones that I'm going for, they're quite earthy, natural tones, and I thought I could do some, you know, some of my earthy toned sock leftovers from things like West Yorkshire spinners as well, but they are all natural fibres. I don't have a natural fibre blanket, like completely natural fibre, so I thought that's what I would do. So I've been doing these crochet squares, and in the process of doing those I went into my local yarn store because that's where I like to spend a lot of my time, and she told me about a new collection by West Yorkshire Spinners that they're calling their Flutter. So I'll show you. So this is a collection of 6 different yarns. I don't know if you can see that. All based on butterflies. So, as we know, I love my West Yorkshire Spinner sock yarns. So I did pick up a couple of balls of that as well to knit up, crochet up, sorry, one of the squares in this one, which is the Red Admiral butterfly. And they've come up lovely, really, really lovely. So in the process of doing that, what I've done is I've kind of thought, well, actually, how can I, like in terms of designing colours, what can I do to give this some kind of cohesion? So my plan is, in the process of making the blankets, like these two in particular work really well together. I've also got various different yarns in sort of more cream colourway, so I could do you know, sort of like a creamy ambery kind of colour. I've got a sort of foresty green that would go with that one in the same way that those two go together, and then I've got a pale green as well to make a third colour that way. I've got lots of different purpley, greeny and pinky colours that would work with that would still keep it feeling pretty natural, and lavendery type colours. So I'm going to basically just keep working on that as and when I feel like it, and as and when I decide, you know, sort of some of the stitch patterns are quite complex, and they are definitely going to be more challenging for me, so that will have a bearing on which ones I decide to do. But yeah, I'm just playing around with it really, and keeping with the crochet because I've been enjoying it so much. So that will build over a very long period of time, because they really are sort of, if I want a bit of a palette cleanser, that's what I'm going and doing at the moment. So yeah, that will just kind of tick along in the background, I think, and I'm quite happy for it to do that as well. My main whip though is the one that I've already spoken to you about last time. I realised when I was filming that I had made a mistake, and there's a textured sleeve to this whip. So this is the Brooklyn Raglan by Tori, and you can see I've done quite a bit on it now, but at the point I showed it to you last time, I realised that I'd messed up some of the patterning on the sleeve, and rather devastated, knew that I would have to go back and fix that, and I wasn't confident that I'd be able to locate exactly where I'd made the mistake and frog it back and get it back on the needles. So I ended up ripping it all back and starting again, and whilst that hurt my heart a little bit, it was absolutely the right thing to do, and fixed it. And I've now, like I say, I've got really quite a lot of it done, and it's fitting really nicely. I could perhaps put it on and show you. It's on the needle, so I just need to be careful that I don't overstretch this when I put it on. Bear with. Okay, so I'll stand up so you can kind of see how far we've got with it. So we're about here at the moment. So we're kind of at my, roll that down a little bit, kind of at my upper waist, I guess. But I will want this to sit, you know, one side, you know, much further down basically. So the raglan shaping works really well. Excuse my chair while it crunches underneath my weight. That works really well. The arm depth is absolutely fine. The neck is absolutely fine. I was a little bit concerned with the short row shaping at the top here. I was a bit concerned that it was creating a bit of poofiness. And I think it still is a little bit, but that may block out. I hope that will block out anyway. But the stitch definitely, I actually quite like it as a short sleeve jumper, to be honest with you, but that might just be the heat at the moment that's making me feel that way. But it's working out really nicely. I need to look at what the pattern says for the sleeves as to what the shaping's like on the sleeves, because I think I would probably prefer quite a slim sleeve, but looking at some of the pictures on the pattern, it does look like a wider sleeve, not massively wide, but definitely not clinging to her arms. But then it might, in all fairness, with my arms being considerably bigger than Tori U's, or whoever she was using as the model for that, I assume it's her, my arms will probably fill out a sleeve, more so than they do on her. I'm going to take this off now because it's actually really warm, so bear with while I take this off like a man, because of the, oh god, every time I do this, why do I do this? Why do I try stuff on and look at, I mean, I've never pretended to be a classy girl, but make yourself look nice to come on camera, and then you end up doing that to your hair. But I have managed, thank you Stitch Stoppers, to not lose any of my stitches in the process of trying that on. So yeah, I'm going to check when it gets to sleeve time. I'm going to check kind of what the sleeve instructions look like, to make sure that they will indeed be a sleeve that I'm comfortable with. If not, I'll have to research how to decrease sleeves in a way that makes them more fitted. But I'm pleased with how it's going. The yarn I'm using is the Drops Merino Extra Fine, and it's really lovely to work with. For saying obviously it's quite a cheap yarn, it is really nice to work with. It's got a lot of bounce to it, and it's quite silky. It's obviously it's a superwash merino, which gives it that silkier kind of, you can tell it's been treated feel. But I don't mind that. I know some people don't particularly like that, but I don't mind it. It feels like a very well constructed yarn. I have heard that it grows a bit in blocking, which I need to be careful of, because actually the fit's really nice at the moment. I don't want it to grow too much, so I'll just have to be mindful that I'm not sort of pulling it around too much when I'm actually blocking it. But I love the colour. I love that forest green colour. Green's probably one of my favourite colours on me, and yeah, it's scratching an itch for me when it comes to just general stockinette knitting at the moment, because I'm on the body. I probably will be having a meltdown when it comes to sleeve time, because that's when I have the potential to stuff everything up by getting pattern repeats wrong. But I'm really enjoying it, What's next? I have two whips that you won't have seen before. I have talked about this one. I'm keeping this one in my float tote, my crochet float tote that I made in April. Now, I said that I wanted to do this one, and I actually wasn't expecting to get on it as quickly as I did, but I just took the plunge and decided now was the time. And this is the Night and Day Cowl by Andrea Mowry. And it's pretty. So hopefully you can see this stitch pattern. So it's striped and uses slip stitches to create, you know, sort of this disruption in the stripe that makes it look like they're all kind of blurring into each other. And I'm using West Yorkshire Spinners, their Colour Lab DK, and I'm using it, the blue is called True Blue and the cream is called Natural Cream. And when I mentioned it on the podcast last time, I was unsure as to whether or not I was going to add like a mohair or something to give it a real cosy, fluffy vibe. And I decided not to. I decided that actually probably I didn't need that level of warmth added to it. I mean, we're in the UK, it doesn't get that cold. And then it was a case of the payoff between feeling warm and having a lot of mohair up my schnoz. So I decided to just stick with the West Yorkshire Spinners, and also the cost, you know, let's be honest, mohair's not cheap, and for a cowl, if I was making it for somebody else, I perhaps might have done just to give it a bit more of a luxurious kind of gifty feel. But for me, this is going to get shoved on top of, you know, sort of whatever I'm wearing as I run out the door to go and either catch a train somewhere or nip out to the shops or whatever it might be, take the dog for a walk. So it just didn't feel necessary. I am enjoying, I've done one of Andrea's, I've done her DRK Everyday Shawl before, and I did that with a Rico Designs hand-dyed Happiness merino yarn, and I loved it, and I was literally what I wore every single time I went out in the cold in the winter. It came up quite small though, so I did the adult medium in that one. So I've decided to do the adult large in this one, because when I looked at Andrea's photos, like, she's got this real sort of bulky cowl out of hers. She says that that's in the adult medium, and and I guess it's to do with gauge more than anything else. So I'm hoping this one knits up as big, basically. I'm using Lantern Moon wooden needles, and there's a reason for this. So my gauge is looser on a wooden needle. I don't really enjoy knitting on wooden needles. My favourite ones to knit on are Knit Pro Symphony. I've got a set of ChowGoo, and I'll be honest, I hate them. I love my ChowGoo metal needles. I really don't love my set of ChowGoo wooden needles. They're just too draggy and it slows me down massively. But the Lantern Moon was supposed to be good. They're like an ebony wood and they are very smooth. I still don't think they're as smooth as the Knit Pro Symphony though. However, apparently they're all the same company. So the reason I don't tend to use my Knit Pro Symphonies is because the cables are horrific. I think once you've had the ChowGoo cable, you don't really want to go back to those type of cables. But Lantern Moon, Knit Pro, I think it's Knitter's Pride maybe in the States, they're all the same company apparently. So the cables from the Lantern Moon work with the Knit Pro Symphonies. So that's a good thing. It means I can make the most of them. They do have a better cable. They're like these kind of, I don't know whether you can, if I move me out of it. They're like a coated stainless steel cable. So that's good. But yeah, still not a big fan of the wooden needles. They are better though. But they're slowing me down, but they are making my gauge a lot looser, and I'm thinking that might help create the bigger garment that it looks as though Andrea Mowry's got. But happy with the stitch pattern and how it's all coming through. Just keep plodding along. It's quite addictive actually, this one, because the pattern itself, because you've got the stripe element of it, it's like an 8-row repeat. So it is always just because we'll just get to the end of those 8 rows before I stop. So you end up doing a lot more than you expect it to do. It's quite, what do they call it? Potato chipping. I've just realised I've got a big black mark on my hand. I don't know where that's come from, probably my eyes, to be honest with you. Having just dragged that top over my head. So yeah, so that's my other, or one of my other work in progresses. The other thing that I'm working on is a pair of socks. So again, I'm really trying to use up a lot of the scrap yarn that I've got. So I made a pair of socks for one of my co-workers that was in this Rico Designs neon. I'll just move that a bit closer so you can see it. And once I'd made the socks, there was absolutely loads of it left, so I didn't know what to do with it. But I just thought, come Christmas, a pair of socks for one of my nephews, a black sock with a bit of sporty neon detail on the cuff, the heel and the toe, something that's very wearable for them. I've never knitted really with black yarn either, so this is interesting for me. But yeah, I thought I'd just make a pair of those, use up the black that I got left over from doing my police box socks. So I'm just a basic pair of vanilla socks knitting up there as well. Now, I did talk to you about the West Yorkshire Spinners Flutter yarns. So on the subject of acquisitions, I thought I'd just show you those ones as well. So we'd got so I think I called this the Red Admiral, but it's not. It's the small tortoise shell. So this is the colourway that I used to crochet that square. But I've also got here the Purple Emperor, and this one just looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So that's definitely going to be a pair of socks regardless, probably for me. I don't know that I'll want to share it with anybody, but it will also make up, as you can see, that I mean obviously I've used next to nothing of that for that crochet square, so that will be another pair of socks as well. But first and foremost, that's going to be a pair of socks because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The colours in it are just glorious. So I've got that to work on at some point as well. And then other works in progress that I've got are on the cross stitch front. So the next cross stitch that I am working on is another Wrendale Designs, and it's called Hopeful. And this, my mother-in-law to be got me this one, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. That's how long it takes me to make these, because this little guy here looks just like my dog Dennis. He's like the spitting image, and he's adorable. So I have made a start on this, but I've literally made a start of about 12 stitches, so I'm not even going to bust it out to show it to you because this is much more descriptive. But that is what I'm starting to work on now from a cross stitch perspective. And I typically have always used a sort of magnifying glass. Oh, so you see I've got, I don't know whether you can see that here, a little magnifying glass, because my eyesight, not great. But it's quite difficult to have your cross stitch behind the magnifying glass and you're working on it, your arms are all out here, and it's a bit difficult to manage. So this is so fun. I saw on Amazon, of course, where you can get everything, I saw a little gadget that I thought might make my cross stitching a little more comfortable. So I thought I'd share this with you just in case you didn't know these existed either. I can't see you, you're very blurred at the moment, but I'm hoping my eyes are massive. I always remember Billy Connolly doing a sketch about sort of what's the point of glasses for people who need glasses to drive? Why don't they just get like a prescription windshield? And the joke was that it would be terrifying if you came over the hill with massive eyes in a car, and that always tickled me. And I don't know whether my eyes look massive to you, whether it's picking it up or not, but yeah, these are magnifying spectacles. There is also a little LED light that I can turn on so that I can comfortably stitch away in the dark. And they come in, I think, I want to say it's like 5, I think you can have magnifying, like 5 times magnifying, 3 times, 2.5 times, and 1 time. They come with these, I can't even think where I put them, here we go. My craft room is chaos. Yeah, so you've got all of these different little box of different lenses that they just clip in and clip out. So if you're any kind of hobbyist dealing with, you know, small things, these bad boys are a game changer. And obviously you look really cool wearing them. They're quite comfortable. They come with like a an elastic head strap. So if you're constantly looking down, I guess that, you know, like maybe if you're building, you know, model parts or something like that, if you're a bit of a Games Workshop Warhammer type painter, it's not all here, is it? Sometimes you're working down there low, but you can adjust this, but you can also, you can have like an elastic headband, almost like a sports headband for it. Makes it even cooler, if you ask me, doesn't it? Rather than the glasses arms. But yeah, that's that was like £17 wisely invested, because now I can see what I'm doing with my cross stitch and I look really cool while I'm doing it. I'm sure you'll all agree. But that is probably one of my most recent acquisitions, alongside these Flutter sock yarns as well. And I think that's pretty much everything. So hopefully not too long an episode this time, but a quick catch up. I'll be honest, I'm mainly catching you up quickly because this room is getting hotter and hotter. It's still incredibly warm and I'm worried that my face is probably melting. So I think what I'll probably do is start to sign off from here. What have I got coming up? Oh, I should give you an update on the allotment actually. So I'll put some photos in the video, but it was our allotment social yesterday. It also gave me a great opportunity to go and do a bit of a harvest. So the things that have been doing particularly well for me this year are broad beans. So I've got loads of broad beans. I brought home a load of those yesterday and shelled them, blanched them, popped them in the freezer, because you tend to have these gluts of produce and yeah, your freezer is your friend in that situation. So They've gone in the freezer. My mum's currently away at the moment, so she'll get a load of those when she gets back. I also had some random potatoes. So last year we planted potatoes and they were horrible. Like, the variety was called Golden Wonder, but they were really, I don't think they'd got potato scab, but the skin on them just, it didn't look particularly healthy, and they'd also been munched through, the majority of them. Every time I dug some up, they'd got holes running through them, and my other half is a bit particular. If he thinks that anything has been through his vegetable, he's not that keen on eating it. I'm not that fussy, as long as it's not still in my vegetable, you know, sort of, they've done their damage, it doesn't bother me. But he's a bit more particular. But more than anything, when we did make them up, they just weren't a great texture. They basically disintegrated, and you couldn't use them as mash. You know, they were very watery. So I spoke to a few people on the plot, and they were like, it's not great around here for potatoes. You've got like some kind of potato weevil that does a lot of damage, and only, you know, try doing them in potato bags as opposed to in the ground. So I obviously dug up last year's. I've done potato bags this year, and then I was surprised to see a potato plant or two that, obviously, where I'd left potatoes in the ground, hadn't dug up everything, I was getting, you know, sort of volunteer potatoes in my bed. So I left them, and I dug those up yesterday, and they look pretty good. They're like little new potatoes. They haven't been touched by anything yet because I wasn't expecting them to be there, so I dug them up early. And yeah, I'm probably going to have them for my dinner. What else did I get? I got some lettuce. Most of my lettuce have bolted, to be honest with you, because this spate of hot weather just, yeah, they bolted, and they've been no good for anything. But I did manage to rescue one of the ones that was from a later sowing. So I've got some lettuce. We've had 2 pretty sizable cabbages as well, which I've been really proud of. My kohlrabi is still growing. I'm pretty sure I planted broccoli. Can I find a broccoli plant anywhere though? No. So I think maybe that got munched early on without me noticing. My carrots, not so great, but my rhubarb is coming along. But it's the first year for rhubarb, so I'm not going to be harvesting it, because apparently you're not supposed to. You let it, you know, really establish itself, and then start harvesting a little bit next year, and then the year after you can just go to town with harvesting that. So my strawberry plant died a death, unfortunately. I think it just got too hot and dry for it. And my tomatoes are doing really well. I've got tomatoes in a quad grow pot, which is basically, you've got 2 large pots that are attached to a reservoir, and there's like a wick that goes down into this reservoir, so it helps to keep the tomatoes, because they're very thirsty plants, it helps to keep them hydrated. I've had mixed results with the quad grow, actually. They've got kind of a little rubber seal that's not particularly good, so although you fill that reservoir up, it leaks slowly through that rubber seal. But also it's been so hot, just, you know, sort of just stopping, you know, sort of the water from evaporating through the actual plant itself has been a challenge. So I'm topping it up regularly, but it's definitely doing a lot better than it did last year, when I was just in grow bags in my polytunnel down at the plot, where everything just got fried and none of my tomatoes amounted to anything. So I am looking forward to having a good crop of tomatoes this year. I can see them all. Some of them are starting to look like they're going to ripen up any day now, just because of all the warm weather we've had. So it's looking good. The knitting plot is producing, which is what I've wanted for it. But otherwise, I don't think I've got anything really to update you on. I am still planning to get my summer knitting plans video recorded. If I can take a break from the heat and get that done in the next couple of weeks or so, I will, because we are now really in the throes of summer, so I need to get around to doing that, really. And yeah, I'll keep you updated with what I've got going on and what's going on in the plot. So enjoy some photos from the plot, so you can see what's been going on, and I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much. By the way, also, if you've watched to the end, thank you. I've had some new subscribers, quite a few new subscribers again, so that's really exciting for me. So if you are still enjoying what you've seen, like, subscribe. If it helps more people reach, you know, sort of helps me reach more people and helps them see what I'm doing, and if that's something that's of interest to them as well, then then everybody wins, really. It's exciting for me to be able to chat to this many people. But tell me what you're up to. Tell me what you've got on your needles at the moment, or on your hooks, or what cross stitches you're working on. If you're a quilter, you know, what are you doing, you know, sort of quilting wise. I've been watching a lot of quilting videos recently. That's definitely a rabbit hole I'm about to fall down. And yeah, I just want to know what everybody's crafty bits and bobs are up to. And do you know what? Okay, another one, because you never know in this community, people have lots of different crafting skills, but I'm really keen to see if there's people out there who still quill, you know, like the paper quilling, because that's definitely something I'm keen to get back into. I've been going through like various different quilling kits online, like starter quilling kits, because I just think it's really pretty. And I used to do it when I was younger, and I think I could probably do something better with it now that I'm a grown-up and I have more dexterity? No, that's not the right word. I don't know what the word is, but you know, maybe I'm just a bit better with my hands and my patience, probably, in terms of what I could create with quilling. But that's something that I'm thinking of delving into as well. So if you are a quiller, I want to know if you've got recommendations for good starter kits, and yeah, tell me in the comments. But otherwise, it is now really warm in here, so I'm going to say goodbye before I melt. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. As they say around here, ta-ra a bit, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.